All right, this is Matt Mrozek. This will be work in progress number 11 on the Hellboys. So from this point on, I'm going to be working on one Hellboy at a time, because right now they're all kind of carbon copies, and at this point I want to kind of make them all different, and each client kind of has a different request anyway, so it's a good point to kind of finish one and move on to the next one. So this first one I'm going to show you, everything is the same except for what I've done the past few nights, and this is Leonardo's. So they all have this kind of really cool looking Fist of Doom going on. They all have these nice yellow eyes. I'm not going to do this tonight, but Leo's requested to kind of put some gray in his hair. Just kind of long, sorry, not in frame. Just put a little kind of gray, kind of along the sideburns here. So I'm going to do that a little bit later, maybe towards the end. Towards the very, very end, I'm going to do that. So what I've been doing, God, this is, again, this just takes me a long time. I don't know if I'm just really slow or what, but it's taken me 2 nights to do the guns and the gloves. So here is the gun hand. So it's all been hand painted, and I just got done doing the shading and the final top coat. So I did a little different than the first one. He wanted something a little more kind of blingy, so I kind of did a gold barrel and with the red inlays and kind of copper accents, which I kind of like. It's a nice contrast to everything else. And on the glove we did copper and gold accents. I'm not sure if you've seen that in the bright light. I hope that's showing up. So that looks really good. So this hand's done. And then the other hand is just real simple. Just went in and painted the little kind of rivets, the same gold as on the other glove. And I just added a red leather kind of inlay on the glove. Just real simple. There's a bunch of other like stuff in this glove, and I've seen a lot of guys just go to paint every single little thing. And yes, there's a ton of detail in this piece. Doesn't mean you have to paint every single little piece. So sometimes it's better to not paint every single detail, because then it just gets really busy. So unless your colors are kind of cohesive and consistent, it's when they go in and just do every single color in the book and just put it all over the place. To me, I don't like that. So I'm going to leave this as it is. I think that's just a nice simple hand. So what I'm going to finish up with tonight, hopefully I'll get this done tonight. I am working on getting the boots done. And this whole process is done nothing but with dry brushing. If you don't know what dry brushing is, you'll learn real quick. And the results are really good. So it's a combination of like dry brushing and kind of buffing with paint and paint brushes. So let me get all this crap out of the way, because this is all the stuff I just had for doing the glove, doing that red inlay. See, I didn't videotaping that process. I'm kind of the point where right now in these projects where I just have to kind of get them done. Doing 3 at one time it has its positives and negatives. The positive, I'm kind of getting 3 done at once, but the negative, every single step just takes me 3 times as long. You know, like I said, last night I spent 4.5 hours, and that's just hand painting the gun and the gloves. That doesn't include any of the lining or shading or anything. And that's just me again. I don't know if I'm slow or what the deal is. Hold on, I'm going to pause and come right back. Sorry, I'm selling a few kits and I'm getting some private messages. I just did the review on the Mark DeMello Alpha 3 Scarlet Witch kit, and I turned around and sold it right away. Not that I didn't like the kit or I didn't want it. Actually, I really wanted it. But another kit that I wanted even more, that I tried to get 8 months ago, came up available at an excellent price. So it was just something I wanted more. It's a Bushi kit, his Falcon Red Wing. I was able to get a kit version. I almost bought it pre-painted, and I was going to strip it and then repaint it, but Bushi informed me that one of his clients backed out of a painted version, or backed out of a kit and asked for a painted version. So it was like score. So I sold that, and I'm selling that in my Gladiator kit. So that funded that kit. So I'm dealing with someone right now. Anyway, he's asking me if I can paint it, but I'm booked like 2 years out. So sorry, back to the subject of what we're doing here is the boots. And it's 10 o'clock. My wife told me, don't stay up too late tonight. Again, this is something where I need to get my little camera app going so I can see what I'm doing. And I bought a new mic. I bought a microphone. Well, I did two things. I bought a new camera so I could use a microphone because my old Yi that I still use doesn't accept a microphone. So I bought an upgraded Yi camera, which is what I'm using because I can use a microphone. Well, the microphone I'm using is apparently not very good, and it sounds really muffled. So I tried lowering it on my shirt a little bit to see if that helps. If not, I will just buy another microphone, something that will hopefully work better. Okay, now I can see what I'm doing. And also another thing, I bought this. So I was at Hobbytown today because I say this all the time. I'm terrible at washing my brushes. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So they had like a 30% off brush set sale going on right now. So if you need brushes, go to Hobby Lobby and stock up on brushes. So I bought like a set of brushes, and I bought like some value packs of flat brushes. So I bought like 100 brushes today. But I also bought this little thing. You know, some guys may look at this like, oh, it's stupid. You can just use a couple, cups. Well, for $6 or whatever, I got this little compartmentalized brush washer. And which is what I like about it. On this side, I've got some soapy water, and the bottom there's like a grid that you can use to kind of, brush your, move your brush back and forth on. And then it's got two other compartments. If you want to soak your bristles, you can do that. And it's got little holders. I'll tell you what, already it's made a huge difference as far as as far as washing brushes as you go. Anyway, back to the subject. I'm getting off subject here. So I've got just a really crappy paper towel right here to empty my brush off of as I load it up with paint. I'm using all my Vallejo metal colors right here. I've got the whole lineup, or not the whole lineup, I've got most of them. I'm not going to use these guys because they're more of a solvent-based paint, and I don't want them to eat into anything. So I've got like gunmetal gray, burnt iron, steel, gold, copper, pale burnt metal. I think that's what I was using first. It seemed a little dark. No, what was I using first? Burnt iron is what I was using first. I need a brighter color too. Hold on. Whoops. Crap. Sorry about that, guys. My mic got tangled up. Some silver. So you guys just took a fall. Another thing about this mic I bought, the cord is extremely long, which is handy when I'm doing reviews. Not so handy when I'm trying to move around. Anyway, sorry. Another awesome video from yours truly. And some silver. So right now I'm just taking the burnt iron because it's slightly darker. I'm going to work my way from dark to light. Let me get everything else out of the way that I don't need. That's when I start making mistakes and having to go back and fix things. So when I got too much shit out, I knock something over or spill something, and I do that all the time. Okay, where's the brush I was using? I had a really good new flat brush. Here it is. So I just got a flat brush right here, and I'm going to dip it in my paint. You don't need a lot of paint, so you can take most of it off. So, like that. And then again, I'm just going to take most of it off here on the paper towel. Hopefully you guys can see that. Oh, son of a biscuit. My camera is not balanced. Let's try this again. And I'm in my pajamas, so excuse my pajama bottoms. Okay, let's try this again. So take most of the paint off. And it's real simple. I'm just going to go in here. And I've also glued on the leather pouches of all the kits. Oh, sorry. Backing up. I did go in on the leather pouches, and I painted all the metal details. And then I also went in with a brown wash and did two things. It lined it added lines to all the crevices, you can see there. And it also added a bit of weathering. So, there we go. Sorry. So a little bit of weathering, and it added, shadow to everything. So that was a nice little touch with that wash. All right, so I got my paintbrush here. Most of the paint's off. And it's real simple. I'm just going to go in here just real lightly. And when I'm doing these boots, I'm not real careful as far as where I'm getting the paint. I'm kind of doing it right now. I'm just kind of concentrating on these buckles and these straps going across the front of the boots. I'm hoping that's showing up in the camera. I'm just kind of concentrating on the buckles and these straps right now. And I got a little something there I can touch up with that black paint. And just real lightly, I'm just going to build this up. Okay, so this is the burnt iron. It's not super bright. I keep saying this. I need to go like buy a head mount because it's kind of hard to do this all. Come on. I'm about to drop the camera again. Which you guys don't want me to do. Hold on. Urgh. High production value I do not have. I've got friends that they'll do a video and they'll spend hours editing. It's like, I just don't have time for that. It takes me hours just to upload the crap that I do. And it's crap. I mean, I've gotten some nice compliments, but then I've got a lot of other guys, I can't hear you, it's muffled. Oh, I hate the time lapse. I just zone out on that. And it's like, okay, it is what it is. That's how I do it, guys. It takes me hours just to upload the stuff I've done. Okay, so we're just, again, take off most of the paint. And we're just going to concentrate right here for now on these guys. Just building up highlights. And so right already, just by doing this, like these buckle parts look like they're basically metal already. Okay. And again, if you don't know what dry brushing is, basically you're just hitting the high spots of whatever it is you're painting, and you're just getting the edges. But the way I've been doing, putting a little bit more pressure, which is also getting a little paint down here in these recesses, which is kind of giving it some more tone. Okay. I think what I did last time because it looked really freaking good. It looked amazing what I did last time. The first thing I did. You know, I'm just gonna go ahead and hit these guys real quick too. I think what I did on the first one I basically dry brushed the whole thing, and then I went back in with other colors and kind of did some buffing and stuff. Got some cool effects just by, instead of dry brushing, basically getting a very little bit of paint on my brush and kind of buffing the surface. So I'll show you that here in a second because I did that with copper last time and it looked really, really good. So this is, you know, this is, you don't want to try to do this too fast because if you do too fast, you just build up way too much paint too fast, and then you'll have to go back and kind of paint your base color. And I'm seeing a few spots right now where I'm kind of seeing a little bit of the bare primer or the bare kit. So I'm going to go back in with just with some black, and I'll hit those low spots. It's basically just in some of the crevices I'm seeing it, and I missed it when I primed. It's no big deal. Again, so just real light. I think this is another area of the kit where there's a ton of detail, and it's super easy to go in there and just paint every little thing a different color. Again, I don't like that. I just think it just gets really, really busy and not necessary. A buddy of mine just painted this, and he sent me some pictures of his paint up, and I was like, man, it looks really good, but my only critique is that you got a ton of colors going on in the boots. He's like, I know, I can't help myself. There's just so much detail. It's like, yeah, I know. And if you want to paint all the detail, go ahead, paint every single little bit. Just keep your colors, you know, that make sense. You want to paint your Hellboy pink, but there's ways to do that and make it look cohesive, you know. Okay, so I'm about pretty happy so far with this first color. I don't know if that's showing up in the camera. Hope it is. Okay, so right now I basically have an overall kind of dry brushed burnt silver look going on, okay? Hopefully you guys can see that. Okay, so I'm going to wash this brush out. Actually, no, I'm just going to keep it. Yeah, what I did, this is kind of cool right here. So I'm going to take the copper. This is saying the Vallejo metal acrylic. I'm going to get just the smallest amount. And again, take most of it off. And this is mixed in with that color I just used, so it's okay. So now the copper is getting toned down a little bit. I don't want a copper look. I want a, because right now barely any paint on my brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and basically kind of going to start buffing this area. My paintbrush is fairly dry. But what it's doing, if you can see there, it's adding a little bit of warmth. Just a hint of that copper. I don't want it to look like copper because that wouldn't make sense, as it, you know. And I'm just buffing that heel. So instead of dry brushing, I'm actually rubbing this on here. I'm going to get just a little bit more copper. I want a little more warmth to that. Actually, I'm going to do the other side before I do that so I don't have really any consistency. Again, these don't have to be exactly the same. Oops, see, I got too much on there. So I'm going to go in here and try to buff that out. Which is no big deal. I mean, if you do that, it's not the end of the world because these are supposed to be beat up. So if you got one that's a little different, don't fret about it. So I'm not even going to worry about, where I kind of did that initial bit of copper there. So I'm in here, I'm actually rubbing the bristles on there pretty, but I can see in camera how that shined up. It's got just a little bit of warmth to it, so it's just giving a real subtle hint of color. I'm going to do it a little bit more. Make sure I get most of it off this time. And come back over here and do it. Too much paint on my brush. So when you, instead of like over here, what I did, and I put it on, I can automatically see the paint. Ideally, when you start doing this, you don't see any paint at all, and as you kind of buff, it starts to kind of come on there. And if you sit here and work it too much, you actually start to take some of it off, which again is okay. It'll give it kind of a weathered look. So that's looking pretty good. So I can come down lower the camera. Maybe. So I'm pretty happy with that so far. So now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to clean my brush. I'm just going to keep using it as is. One of my favorite colors of this lineup is the pale burnt metal. Where is it? Gold, silver. I like this because it's kind of silvery. It's got a little yellow to it, a little green. No, I just really like it. I love this color. So again, kind of do the same thing. I got a little bit of my brush. I'm going to take most of it off. I'm going to do the same kind of process, but I'm going to do that on the toe here. And right on the front here, because this would be really kind of worn a lot. So I'm not dry brushing, I'm kind of buffing. And another thing with these paints, ideally, if you can get away without having to seal them, they will look a lot better in the long run. So I send gloves with like every finished kit. Leo posted something, I will never handle my kits with gloves ever. I'm like, well, there's a reason you should do that. One reason, if you do paints like this and you don't seal them, you know, if you handle it once or twice, they're not going to come off. But over time, if you handle them a lot, you know, they will come off if they're not sealed. And the reason you don't seal is because, you know, you seal things to protect them, and that's always a good idea. But sometimes, if you seal it, you totally lose the look and the effect of all the work you put into it. These paints are kind of one of those things. Once you seal this, you kind of lose all this work. So, like, I'm not going to seal these. They are rather tough. I mean, I've been able to handle stuff a lot with these paints. So there you go. So those toes are done. Really nice and kind of got that pale burnt metal look on the toes. Digging that. And we kind of faded it off here. And now what I can do is I can come here with that same color and just, and again, I didn't put any more paint on my brush. I'm just dry brushing in this direction to hit that edge. So I like that kind of that dark spot in the middle. But now I'm dry brushing in this direction only towards the toe, and I'm just hitting this edge right here. So you can see that I just grabbed that edge and just got a little bit of paint along that edge there. We'll do the same thing over here. So in case you didn't notice, so this is before I dry brush in this direction, and that's what it looks like after. So I am getting a little bit on the top, but I'm hitting the edge mostly, which is what I want to do. Okay, I'm going to hit the front of this a little bit right here. Again, I haven't put any more paint on my brush. I'm still using the same paint that's been on there. It's not a whole lot. It's enough to do what I need to do, though. You'd be surprised how long it would take you to get all this paint off this brush, especially doing this technique. Even if you look at my brush, it doesn't look like there's any paint on it. The bristles are pretty much clean. There's just enough on there to do this. Okay, so now we got that pale burnt metal on the toe, which I like. Kind of got that warm. I'm actually going to do a little bit more on the heel there. I want just a little warmer. I mean, just ever so slightly. So I'm just going to get some paint off the lid here. Again, I didn't clean my brush. I just kept whatever pale burnt metal was on my brush, just kept it on there. Just there we go. And it's real subtle. You'll be doing nothing, boom, all of a sudden you see what you want, and I don't know if you guys can notice it, but I could see right away that I got the effect I wanted. So I'm happy with this one now. If you notice, it's warm, and then it kind of fades off to kind of like a brighter silver, and then it fades into those shadows. I'll do the same thing over here. It's a subtle effect, but you can see it. Look at that first Hellboy I did. Look at the pictures of that. Look at the pictures of the boots. This is what I'm doing right here. Just warming it up just a little bit. a little too much paint on again. It's okay. Just going to go in there and, oops, sorry, it's not on the camera. I put a little too much paint on. So I'm going to go in there and buff it and kind of fade it out. But now those heels are looking how I want. Okay, I'm happy with those. I'm happy with the toes. Okay. I'm going to use this pale burnt metal again. Because again, it's just a little bit bright. It's brighter than the first color I was using, that burnt metal. Or, yeah, burnt iron. Let me put the lid back on the copper. And I'm going to kind of go back over the first areas I did just a little bit. A slightly brighter color. Okay, we're just kind of building up layers here. That's all I'm going to do there. And that's all I'm going to do there. Okay? That's it. Now I'm coming to the top here. I'm just using whatever paint's on my brush to hit this really good. So it's kind of nice if you kind of just keep leaving the paint on your brush. As you go through and dry brush areas, you'll see little hints of all those colors kind of coming through as you do this. So like right there, I just saw a little bit of copper pop out, and you know it just adds another little hint of color in those areas. And I can even just go back to my paper towel here where I've been cleaning my brush and pick up some colors and do that. Because again, you're working with very little to no paint on your brush. And when you're dry brushing things, go in the counter, like so these little rings here, I want to go perpendicular to that surface. You'll get the best effect if you go perpendicular to the area you're trying to dry brush. You'll get the best highlighting and kind of stuff like that. So, oops, sorry. If I get these boots done tonight, then I'm in pretty good shape. Then I'll have the hands done, the gun done. The gun done was that's another big step in these guys. Again, it takes me forever. I went to Hobby Lobby today. When I was at Hobby Lobby, of course, I went and looked at all the little jewelry sections, bought a bunch of shit because everyone's, oh, I want more trinkets, more trinkets. Well, that's fine and dandy, but they add up really quick. You know, you buy, you can spend $50 to $100 super quick buying all those little doodads. Well, luckily today, a lot of the ones I bought were on sale, and I didn't realize it. So I'm going to go back before Saturday and buy more just so I have a stock. But I bought a bunch of metal kind of parts and stuff, so it should be kind of cool. Okay. Start getting there. I'm going to put that away for now. I'll try to make this video where it's not 3 hours long. The last two were like 3 hours. It's crazy. We get a little steel, which is a darker color. I'm kind of feeling like these are kind of a little monotone right now. So you can always go back with a darker color and tone things down. So I'm going to take the steel, and again, I'm just mixing it right here along with all my other colors, getting most of it off. I'm going to kind of come to the back side with the steel. The first Hellboy I did, I painted these panels a kind of a weird color, and I ended up not liking it in the end. So I'm going to just kind of keep those. I'm going to just kind of make those mostly this kind of steel color. I was trying to add another shade, another color to the thing, and it's like, eh. In the end, I wasn't real happy with it. So now these boots are leather, and black is a hard color to shade. General rule of thumb is you don't want to like shade with just blacks or just whites, because in real life nothing is white and nothing is black. It just doesn't happen. So you typically want to, like, if you're shading with a black, you typically add a little blue to it. Shadows in real life are cool in nature and temperature, and then vice versa. Things that are bright. Now I am trying to avoid the pants. I don't want to get anything on the pants. Things that are bright are warm in nature, color temperature wise. So like if you want to make these, if you want to do all leather, you can go in here and do some shading and highlighting. But if you use the right metallic, a dark metallic, you can get really nice highlighting on the leather, and it'll still look like leather. So I just have the steel on here, and I'm going to grab another. I'm going to grab some gunmetal here in a second, which is even a darker metallic, and go over some of these other areas. And again, I kind of like got the highlights established where I want, and go back in and kind of reestablish some shadows. I kind of lost some of them in this process. It's a lot of going back and forth. You know, you get one thing, and then, oh, I like that, and then you go back and you overdo something. Still with the steel. Again, just cleaning my brush on the same paper towel, kind of picking up some of those other colors that are on there. And if I want to concentrate on an area, so right here, like, or I just kind of want this all the same color, I'm just kind of going there. Basically, I am just kind of painting it, but my brush is still very dry. It's not, I'm not putting like solid paint on there. So I'll try to get a better mic. I've got this lower on my chest, so hopefully with it being further away from my voice, it's not so. When I listen to it, it doesn't sound muffled, it sounds distorted. So I think it's a cheap mic too, you know. I would do that. Oh, I'll buy something cheap, and then I end up buying something expensive because the cheap one wasn't any good. That's just how I am. Okay, so these are actually looking pretty good. I'm getting there. I'm getting to a point that I like. I'm going to take some of the steel, and I want to get something darker. So I may clean my brush here in a second, because I want to kind of get some of this gunmetal gray, which is a nice dark metallic. I'm actually going to clean this off. I'm going to clean it to a cleaner. I say cleaner part. It's not really cleaner. It's just not saturated with paint. I'm using the same paper towel for like 4 nights, as you can tell. Alright, so I'm going to get most of this off. Get my brush pretty clean. I'm going to get some of this gunmetal here. So this is again the Vallejo metal colors, which I love. Love. Good metallics are hard to find. People always ask me, what paints do you use? Like, man, what don't I use? I use just about everything that's out there. So I'm going to kind of do this buffing thing again, but this time with the steel. or not steel, but the gunmetal. Yeah. Sure hope this is showing up. It looks really dark on my phone, but that just could be my phone. Got a lot of light here. So now I'm doing the same thing, but with the steel. You notice that from here to there, it is a different color. This is more of a gray, which is good for doing stuff on black. I do have a little more paint on my brush here. It's not the end of the world, but now I'm going to try to go and kind of pinpoint a little more some of these areas. At the very end, I'll get a nice bright color, and I'll just go in there and hit a couple areas and kind of give it some marks like this a little brighter, which will also help these other areas pop a little more. If you're finding that you're finding things, you're getting them too dark and you're fighting it, just wait till the very end and add some really bright highlights somewhere in a few areas, and that'll help all those dark areas pop. You'll have something to play against. Okay. So now I'm going to do is we get a little bit of this just a little bit of the gold. I'm not a real fan of this color of gold with these colors. It's really green. It's got a lot of green in it. But I'm just going to keep mixing it with my other color, so I want to add a little, kind of want to make these almost look like brass, but since I don't have brass, not new brass, old brass, which will be tarnished and stuff, I can kind of get a brass look with this gold if I mix it in with some other color. So right there, that little button there is getting a little kind of a little bit of that look to it, a little tarnished look. I'm still using the same brush. I'm not using like a real pointy brush. I'm just getting some paint, getting most of it off, and just using the corner of it. Again, I'm really not painting, just kind of glazing. And it's real subtle. You may not even be able to see it in camera. Just like that. Okay, so it's looking pretty good. go back to. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the copper real quick. So I do want to dry brush these rivets a little bit, kind of like copper. These guys right here. So I'm just using the very flat part of my brush to hit the tops of those. And it puts just the tiniest amount of paint on them. Again, it's a real subtle. Oops, kind of got a little too much there. It's okay. It's a real subtle. There we go. Then the whole thing doesn't need to be copper, just to give it that sense that it's there. There. I should use one of my brushes from the super cheap value pack I got because dry brushing will tear up your brushes pretty good. Okay, so just those little bits of paint on there, those little rivets, make a pretty big difference. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Okay. Let's see. Steel, gunmetal. I think that's the darkest one I have. Yeah. Burnt iron. That's the first one I used, burnt iron. Yeah. This is steel. Nah, sorry guys. My camera's all out of balance on this little tripod here. I'm trying to show you what I'm doing. Right now it's got some of this gunmetal. I'm just hitting some of the areas that I see kind of bare. Okay. Again, this is looking a little monotone, but we're gonna at the very end we're gonna hit it with some like bright silver in a few areas, just real lightly, and then I'll help it pop. then these guys will be done. I think they'll be done. Until I show them to Leo and he tells me to do them over. Okay. Oops. Well, it's kind of a mistake, but I'm going to go with it. Okay. Now I've got some silver here. And this is real bright, so we're not going to use a lot of this. So I'm not like dry brushing the whole areas. I'm just going to go in real selectively and just kind of hit the real high points. Just using the very flat part of my brush. You can see I'm keeping the brush pretty much parallel. I'm not even using the bristles. About 45 minutes here, but this is pretty much it. This is pretty much the boots. What I'll probably do is I'll probably go in here and do a little. I don't know. I have to look at the first one I did of these because this is I'm digging the way this is looking. So I got a lot of colors going on here. Maybe not that easy to tell, but I've got about 6 or 7 shades going on, and they're all pretty subtle. I'm going to go back to this pale burnt metal. Real quick. Again, this is kind of a bright color, but it's got some nice warmth to it. I don't want to add a little There we go. Kind of like that. Alright, so that's it for this video. I think it's pretty short. Let's see what the gun looks like on Hellboy. Let's put him together real quick and see what we're looking like. Let me get some gloves on real quick. Since I've been doing a lot of painting, I don't want to get any fingerprints on him. So, and I had to sand out a little bit of, I had like a piece of trash in the horn here. So I sanded that out and polished it, so now that looks good. I just used a polishing kit. It's very high grit sanding cloth. It's not even paper, but it starts out at 3,200 grit, 3,200 grit, and it goes all the way up to 12,000 grit. And if you just work your way up to the 12,000 grit, eventually it just will polish. That's like what I did on the Captain America shield. Okay, let's get this. Raise my light. Okay. Alright, so here's, once the boots are done, I'll probably go ahead and glue him together. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing that or not. There's that. Just put the gun hand on him. Looks pretty good. I'm digging it. Here, let's do this. Let's bring this out here. And we'll do this. I'll show you. So there's the gun hand and kind of the boots right now. I think they got a little more work on them. I need to go look at the first one I did. Fist of Doom. So it's come together real nice. So I'm going to call this work in progress done. The next one will probably be the base, and then he'll just be about done except for the trinkets. So as always, thanks for watching. This is Matt Mrozik. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye. All right, continuing on with this work in progress. I got the boots done. I'll show those to you. And, so I finished up with just a little more kind of dry brushing and stuff, and then I went back in after I dry brushed, and I painted these panels like just kind of like a neutral gray. And I picked out some areas of the boots, and then I just went in with some clear black and kind of added some shading to those. And then I went back in with just some plain black and went back over some of the other parts of the boots just so it wouldn't look metal, like this part. And painted the bottoms black just with some black acrylic. And then I just hit the bottom part with Tester's dull coat. I went ahead and sealed this part because the paints were rubbing off, but it still looks good. Nice and metally looking. So those are done. And then gun's done, all that's done. So now we're moving on to the base. So this has already been primed with the Badger Stynylrez Res Black. Actually, I missed a little bit down here. I need to hit that again. I missed this edge, so I'm going to do that and I'll come right back. Okay, so this is kind of like a real, again, like everything else I do, it's kind of like the real fluid process. I just kind of start doing things until I get what I want. I don't like take notes on colors I use on projects and stuff. So like Leo wanted something similar. He wanted the same thing as last time. Well, we'll get something similar because I don't, like I said, I don't take notes on colors and stuff. But over here I have a wide variety of colors between the GarageKits.us and some of the Vallejo paints. So I've got like natural bone, aged bone, transparent colors like transparent rich brown, transparent black green, transparent burnt sienna. I've got some Mars red, a medium African flesh, rich brown, spice tan, nicotine yellow. And with all that, we're going to make this look like stone and metal and a nice cool inlay. So the first thing we want to do is get the stone going, and then we'll hand paint the rest of the part. So I don't know who that is. Someone's calling me. So we got this in Style Res Black. So we're going to start off with some dry brushing. And I'm going to start off with this Game Color Cold Gray. I need to get some more of these. I really like them. Oops, I just took the lid off. Just some of these Vallejo paints in general. I'm really digging them. So I'm going to just put some of that in this palette here. And I'm just going to dry brush this on. And this will actually cover a lot of this. To begin with, I'm actually going to get a nice big brush, and I need a paper towel. Again, there's going to be lots of layers, so lots of back and forth again. So let's get this. Let's see if I'm frame still. Yeah. Okay. I think you guys can see that. Get this over here, get all these lined up. Because what's going to happen, I'm going to do a bunch of dry brushing, and then we're going to go back in with some of these Garage Kit colors and very, very lightly just kind of mist them on in different areas. Just kind of do a modeling effect. I don't want like a solid color from these. I just want to kind of give the stone random tonalities. I'm going to start off with this gray. We're going to start from dark, work our way up to bright, and then go back down, and then back up and down, up and down. Lots of that. And it's kind of how we get all these kind of cool, tones. Again, same thing as before, dry brushing, get some paint, get most of it off, and then we should start doing this. And you can see it's just hitting the high spots. And I want to actually do a lot of this color, so I'll probably hit this pretty heavy. Someone made a comment that he just kind of zones out during the time lapse and stuff, so I should just keep recording and talk while I do it. Well, if I did that, these videos would be like 14 hours long, 15 hours long. So the time lapse is just to kind of show the process, just much faster. The last time I did this base, I did it relatively quick, so we'll see. So I kind of knew what I wanted, and I kind of know what I want now too, so hopefully this will go. I say relatively quick. I mean, it took me, instead of 5 hours, it maybe took me like 2 hours. Which my videos have been kind of running that long, so maybe I can do this whole thing in real time. Kind of cool. So I'm not taking off all the paint, like as much paint as I normally would. When I'm dry brushing, I'm leaving a little bit more on there. And the reason I start with black instead of like starting gray, it's much easier to do this and just hit the high spots, than try to start with a gray and then go in there and do a wash, in my opinion. I may do a wash. I didn't do a wash the first time I did this, but I may do it this time. I haven't in the past done a lot of painting with washes and stuff, but I'm starting to do it more and I'm really kind of digging it. I did a lot of it on the Batman prototype, and it worked really, really well. I was having a problem with basically the gray of the suit. And man, I just can't get it the way I want. I did a wash and it just tied it all together perfectly. Okay, so we're going to hit this pretty good. Now, Leo wants the bottom to look the same as the top. It's going to be hard to get it to look exactly the same because I can't paint them at the same time. But what I can do, is if I'm doing a lot of dry brushing, it'll be easier. It's going to be hard when I start doing like some shading and stuff. So we'll see. I told him I'll get it similar, but it won't be like exact. So, a little more of that paint. And I'll do, like, at the very, very end, I'll do another dry brushing with this cold gray, probably just to give it some more pop and highlights and stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to try to get the bottom to look as close as possible to the top. Now, this doesn't have a stone texture, so it's going to be interesting. So, like, that was stupid right there. Let's see if I can take some of that off. Too much paint. Luckily, it's an acrylic, and I should be able to wipe it right off for the most part. If I have to, I can hit it with a dab of the Stylo Res. I think for the base, the bottom, I'm going to get a bigger brush. A real nice big brush here. Covers more area at once. Let's see if I can just kind of dry brush over that, see what happens. I think by the time I'm done with everything, it'll be fine. Yeah, I can just kind of blend it in. It's already starting to go away. Okay, so we're going to try to do this with every step. Do the top, then do the bottom. Okay. So this is going to be like the first step. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to start spraying my first garage kit colors on here. There we go. That's kind of what I want right there. I love dry brushing. It is such an easy technique. It's very easy to overdo. For this particular step, I'm overdoing it on purpose, but it's very easy to overdo. But it's really a very effective technique that you can really learn pretty quick. And like I said, it's just real. It's the hard part is learning kind of like how much to do and how little to do. Again, weathering is relatively new to me. I've been doing a lot more of it lately, but there's a couple guys. Michael Fichtenmeyer this is one of my favorite painters, and I've known him for quite a few years. Started out on his forums, learning how to do stuff, and he's one of the, in my opinion, one of the better overall modelers out there. He's doing an amazing scratch building project right now where he's building this 1/6 scale ramen shop. It sounds like the most random thing, but it looks really cool. Okay, so we're going to stop there with that. And I like my new paint washer and brush washer over here. I need to get some clean water, but this is going to help me save my brushes. I put just a really crappy towel down on my work surface. I like it because I can just kind of dry brushes off on it real quick. Okay, so I think the first color I'm going to start with garage kits is I'm going to start with the dark this like aged bone. And if you remember, if you're watching, this is kind of, we used this on the knife handle. I got two airbrushes going. The one I got over here was just some clear black in it. I was using it earlier for doing some shading on the boots. This one I'm going to use for strictly doing this. Okay. So what I want to do is I don't want to really cover this. You can see it's kind of misting it on. So I still see the black. I still see the dry brushing I just did. Air pressure is right about 15 or so. Not that that really matters, but it's relatively low. I typically do most everything at like 20 psi. It's kind of like my working air pressure for just about everything, but I've been experimenting with lower psi's lately since I've been doing a lot of really fine. 1 second. Kids, let's show it out! Sorry. My dog is whining. Experimenting more with lower psi's as I've been doing a much tighter detail airbrushing, which is a skill I need to learn and practice. So you can see there, we just real quickly, just basically, again, I do a lot of shifting of colors. So we're doing here, we're just kind of shifting the overall color. This aged brown is real nice because it's like a warm gray. It's got a nice tone to it. So we're going to use this kind of as an overall base. Okay, sorry about that. My dog is whining and everyone's busy. Okay, so that's just kind of shifting that overall like that. So we kind of got this grayish overall tone. You can still see the dry brushing through that. And we're going to build up from here. I put a little too much paint in my cup. I'm just going to get a dump cup over here. I'm going to do my brush. I'm not even going to clean it. Where'd that go? Now we're going to do is we're going to come in here with some of this natural bone, which is almost, it's got a little more yellow to it. A little brighter. I think there's a ball bearing in here. I need to get myself a paint shaker. I've invested so much money in other things, I should get a paint shaker. There it goes. Okay. With this color, we're just gonna. I'm just leaving the other paint in there. And this one, we're just gonna mist it on, kind of randomly. Oops. Again, I don't want this to be, and it's pretty subtle. Actually, if I kind of hit it hard in a couple areas here and there, it's okay. Particularly on the edges since it's a little brighter. But we want some randomness in this. And you can still see, I still see all that stuff. I still see all the layers, the previous layers. I don't want to obliterate any of the work I've done before. I want to just build on it and see all those layers through. So again, just working in real thin layers. That. The bottom's a little harder because it's just flat. There's no. What I can do is kind of that area where I messed up a little bit. I can kind of go in there and kind of do that and to cover it up a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to do a little bit more of that. I like that, how it's looking. And these dry, you can see I'm painting and I'm putting it right back down on this paper towel. And these dry pretty much. If you do it real light, it dries pretty much instantaneously, so you can work pretty quick. I slow down when I'm having to do steps where I have to wait for things to dry, or I have to seal it and then wait for that to dry. Okay. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Now this time I am going to clean my airbrush out. I'm going to switch to some transparent colors, and I don't want to be shooting opaque paints. Mixed in with the transparents. Oops, I'll just get a little alcohol. Jesse makes his own airbrush cleaner, but I can't get it to work, even full strength. I can't get the stuff to come out of my airbrush, so I use 90% alcohol. Need to have a beer with him at Wonderfest and talk to him about why can't I get here paints out of my airbrushes. Love his paints. I get a lot of people wanting me to try their paints out. Like, man, I don't know. I really like the ones I use. But I use all sorts of paints. You know, I'm not prejudiced against a certain brand or company. If it works, I use it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to come in here with we're going to start using some of these transparents. So I got some black green to use for shadowing. So I got like some burnt sienna, some nicotine yellow, some rich brown. Actually, I'm going to come in here real quick with some of this spice tan and medium African flesh. We're going to add a little more warmth to this. So this is spice tan. This is kind of a nice, it's almost like leather tan, but it's a little bit brighter. A little more yellow in it. Yeah. The bottle's clogged. It's going to come like flying out at me. I can tell. Need a toothpick. Hold on. I have toothpicks somewhere. Where are they? Oh, right there. There we go. My only complaint about Jesse's paints are his the bottles. I'm not a fan of the bottles. Like these little dropper parts come out. Will come out, and once they come out, you can never get them to stay back in. Okay, so I got the spice tan. There we go. You can see here, I'm just misting it on. I'm not in my spray booth or anything. I'm shooting, the amount of paint I'm shooting right now is so little, and my air pressure is low enough that all the paint I'm shooting is going on the surface anyway, so I'm not worried about like overspray. Now I don't have the Hellboy over here. I mean, that'd be really close, but I'm not worried about this like paint going everywhere. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Just a little hit. Okay, so now we're getting some tonality in this sucker. But you can still see all my work from the previous layer. See, just real light, building it up. Okay, now I'm going to come in here with this medium African flesh. Just get a little more warmth. Just another tone. I like to kind of make it warm, and then I'll bring back the coolness of the stone at the kind of the end when I do the last bit of a dry brushing. Same thing, just kind of pumping the airbrush. Don't forget the edges. Edges are always what I miss when I'm doing stuff like this. I'll be done, it's like, oh, right, it looks great, and then I miss like an edge. I'm like, crap. I have to go back and blend that in. That. Okay. Can do a little more up here. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. Yeah, you can. Okay, so I think this is a good base. So this is basically our base right here. So we've done what we've done. We've done the dry brushing, one step. Then we did these two colors, so 3, 4, and then we did 5, 6. So we're already 6 steps into this process. So yeah, gonna be lots of layers. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with some transparents, and I'll hit those a little heavier because they're transparent. Jesse's educated me on the difference between using a transparent and like a paint and thinning a paint, which now makes sense. So a transparent paint is made with dyes, which means no matter how much paint you'll put on, you'll never get an opaque paint. It'll always be transparent. It may look very dark, but it's always transparent. Where a opaque paint, even though you thin it down, it's still a paint. You'll build it up to the point where it's opaque. And if you thin it too much, basically you've separated the pigments from the binder, and you no longer have paint. You have separated the pigments from the binder, and it's no longer any good. So over thinning is not a good idea. You can over-thin, just not too much. Okay, so I'm going to put all these over here for now. It kind of tells me I've used those colors. Oh, no, I want to do one more. I think I want to do, what's this rich brown look like? I'm not going to do that. Okay, now we're going to come in here with some transparent colors. Transparent, rich brown. Now this I'll probably have to hit with the hair dryer, before I flip this over. Because transparents tend to stay tacky. They're like, they have a gloss finish. So again, we're just, so we started kind of bright and we're working our way down. But we're going to work our way back up eventually. And you notice I haven't done any more shading, like shadowing or anything. We're going to do that shortly. I do have one complaint about my chromes. For some reason I get some paint buildup and they like kind of spurt every once in a while. And it's not the tip, it's on the little needle guard. I should just leave the lid off because I'm working so fast. So this I'm putting on a little heavier. I don't want to put on wet. Just want to hit it. But I'm still seeing everything that I did underneath. It's becoming more subtle, but it's still there. Yeah. So long as I touch it right here, I'm okay. It's a little tacky. This I'm going to hit with the hair dryer for a second. Just enough to get the tackiness off. Okay, so now we're there. And again, since I'm doing it all transparent, so I'm not even worried about cleaning up my airbrush. We're going to do this nicotine yellow. I really like this one a lot. It's one of my favorite transparent colors. So now we're kind of look like some natural stone. Nice earth tone to it. That was tricky. I had the airbrush in my mouth and refilled it. Hit out the dryer real quick. Yeah. Okay. It's starting to look good. Starting to dig it. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to do a little more of the transparent yellow on here. I like it. It gives me a nice, kind of ties in all those other tones we were kind of putting on there earlier. Okay. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to start going in and adding a little more, start adding some shadows to the cracks and stuff. This will be like the preliminary shadowing of it. And I'm going to use the Garage Kit's transparent black green. I'm not sure how much this I have left. I really like this. This is a great color for shading, adding shadows. And that's all I got. So hopefully this is enough to get some of this done. Let me get some more of that. So this, I'm going to go in and kind of hit all these cracks and crevices. And see if I can get... Okay. Again, this is something where it may be kind of hard for me to do on camera. Basically, I have to put my hand like through the tripod so I can hold this in the right position. So I'm going to go in here and start hitting these cracks. And I'll do this again after I kind of do some dry brushing, but I want to kind of get them established. And we're going to do all the crevices too. This is a transparent color, so this will show all my work from my previous layers. Now this circle is going to go a different color here a little bit. I'm going to hit just the outside edge, because the center is going to go red. If I remember correctly, I did a metallic on the rings. So what also happens when you're kind of doing this, any little small sections like this little area, this kind of changes colors all together, just because of the overspray. Because I'm using a higher PSI. If I want to get real tight and confine my spray to just a really tight area, I would lower my PSI and get in closer. But right now, I just want this real loose. I don't want this. I'm okay with that. So you can see there, I'm starting to get some nice shape. So right now everything's kind of yellow and brown, but we're going to change that as we go. I'm going to hit these lower areas a little bit. Anywhere the stone's kind of indented, we're going to hit. Okay, it's looking pretty good. If I run out of this transparent black green, which I probably will do on this base, I've got a bunch of other colors I can use for shadowing, but I really like this. I like that little bit of green it has in it. It's subtle, but you can see it. And I'm going to hit between all these little gears too. So if I just use this paint sparingly, just which I am, I got my trigger pulled back just a little bit, I should have enough to get this step done, at least on this base. Because I'll go in later just with transparent black to do the final shadowing at the end. Kind of fun to see this stuff come alive as you do it. The more more layers, the more shadowing you do, the more highlighting you put on, and then you do that last final step, and you step back, and it's just like it just kind of all comes together. It's really, really cool process. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Now we're starting to look like stone even more. Now we got some shape and shadow in there. Now you could technically leave this right where this is if you wanted this color stone. I mean, that actually would be kind of a nice sandstone right there, and you could call it done. But I'm not going to. Okay. And then I'm also going to come around and just hit this bottom edge. And that just what that does, it adds a little bit of shadow to the bottom edge and just kind of anchors the base to whatever you're sitting it on. Ooh. Okay. And this is where I'll run out of this color right here. Just hitting this on the edge. Just like that. Okay. It's looking good. Okay, I'm going to hit this with the hair dryer before I set it back down. That's looking pretty good. Yeah, digging that. Okay, so now I think what I need to do, I should come in here and do a little more. Stand up this way so I can look at it straight on. I'm going to do some dry brushing on top of this, so some of this will go away. It's no big deal. I'm going to do it again. Okay, so I'm going to go seal this, and then we're going to start kind of bringing it back up. I said I'm going to seal my... I'll use this paint up that I have in my cup. And there it goes. Okay. Now we're going to go seal it. So once I do that, I'll come back. Alright, goes been sealed with the Krylon mat, hit it with a hairdryer, so now we're ready to move on to some of the dry brushing that we want to do. So I've got a couple different colors here I can use that I can mix up. I'm thinking I want to kind of start off with, again, I want to start off kind of darker and work my way up. So I'm going to mix up some sepia and this cold gray. And I also got some other white, dead white. Okay. So with all these colors, I got dead white, heavy brown, cold gray, black, heavy golden brown, and sepia. So with all these colors, we can mix up some cool kind of stony colors. So we're going to start with some sepia, a little bit of gray, it's a lot of gray, but the sepia is going to kill it pretty quick. So I'm going to get a smaller brush. That's one I was using yesterday. Mix this up and see what we get. Okay, so we kind of got this medium to medium dark brownish gray. It's actually kind of perfect for this first round. Paper towel. Clean up my work area a little bit. It gets really messy. When I'm in full blown painting mode, it looks like a bomb has gone off because I'm working so fast. I'm just like, my brain is thinking. I got a picture of the other base I did for Leo the first time here. Now he said he wants the same thing. It's not really exactly like that. Like I said, I don't take notes of what I do. Now I have a video documentation of this. Hit the button. Okay, so I got this kind of medium brown, and now we're just going to kind of come in here, and we're going to start kind of building up some highlights again. And this time we're going to go slow. We're not going to hit it as hard as we did that first time around. So again, we don't want to kill all that work we do with the transparent colors and everything. But I can tell already this is giving me the effect I want. And when you dry brush, you go perpendicular to the surface you're trying to highlight. It'll give you the most, let's say the quickest and most dramatic results, I should say. Let's see. Try to come down a little bit so you're just not looking at my tripod legs. There we go. Maybe a little more. You don't have to, like, I'm just kind of doing like systematically doing this, but you don't have to. Actually, the more random you do it, the better it'll look. But this will also help that shading I just did. It'll help that pop out a little bit too. Because, you know, this is just getting the high area, so I will lose a little bit of it, but I won't lose it. That's what the part of the shading, that's the deepest part of the crack or the shadow. So I'm liking what this is doing. We're still too warm for what I want for the final results, but we're going to build our way up back to a cooler color. And then we'll go back in with more transparencies and stuff like that. So again, just a lot of back and forth. Again, the bottom's a little tougher just because it's a big flat surface and there's no like real lot of texture. Any of the texture you're seeing is from basically the casting. I'll hit this just a little bit just to. Again, it's not going to match perfectly to the top. It'll have the same feel to it. Okay, so now what we're going to do, that was sepia. I'm going to come in with some of this heavy brown. I'm just going to keep mixing into the color I got there. And I'm going to add some of that gray to it. Again, there's really no rhyme or reason. I'm just kind of thinking in my head, what do I want to do next? What do I want to accomplish next? So we're bringing this up one more level. I don't know if you can see the color that I have mixed here. So it's very similar to the one I just did, just a slightly brighter tone, a little more neutral, not as brown. That sepia is pretty dramatic. It's dark. And this you can just I'm just going to kind of, I think, hit the center of the stones. And you can see I'm just using the flat part of the brush right now. Just kind of going in here and doing this. And the few of you that spend the time to watch all these, I appreciate it. They're really long. Especially when I do everything in real time. I tend to like to watch things in real time too, because you really get a sense of how long something takes, and then you get every step. It's just sometimes hard to think of things to talk about while you're doing this. So, especially when you're just kind of, most of this is in my head as far as like what I'm doing. I see something and I just kind of go with it. hit that a little hard. So like I kind of messed up. I put a little too much on. You can just wipe it off. So now I'm just going to go, again, just using the flat part of my brush and just really hit the high spots on these edges. Kind of monotone right now, kind of all the same color, but that's okay. We're gonna change it up. When I'm doing stuff like this, I tend to move pretty quick because I kind of have a picture in my head of what I want this to look like in the end. Even though I have my reference photo, I have no clue how I got there last time, but I know what the look we're going for. I kind of have a game plan in my head of how to do it. Now you'll notice that as you do this and it dries, it will darken, it'll dry down. So even though it looks maybe really trying to dramatic at first, when you put something on, it will dry down and get darker. So you don't want to make a judgment until it's had a chance to really kind of dry. So just doing that right there, so just using even this color right here, which isn't real bright, just using the flat part of my brush on the very edges has really, just that one step right there has added a lot of dimension to this piece already, along with the other dry brushing we did. Again, just using the flat part of the brush, not using the bristles, because I don't want to hit everything. I just want to hit the high spots of the edges. Now, kind of come in here again. Okay, now I'm going to do this heavy golden brown. It's pretty yellow. You see that there? My palette is pretty yellow. So we're gonna, again, just gonna keep working with this gray. Yeah. Still sticking with the warm tones until we kind of go to straight gray and then white at the end. So again, we're still kind of in that same family, but now we got some yellow in there. And it may not show a lot. There we go. Actually, that looks pretty good. See, I just kind of did that by mistake. So I'm just kind of scrubbing this on there. And I'm going to try to be a little more random this time. That's part of my problems. I'm doing everything too evenly. I kind of got a little too much paint right there. Just going to leave it because it's okay. So right there I got like a little glob of paint that kind of went and kind of filled in some of my details, but that's okay. That happens like in one spot of it. I don't want it to happen too many times. So now instead of just kind of going over the whole thing and just kind of dancing around, hitting some areas a little harder than the others, so I'm getting a little more variation in the surface now, which is helping a lot. It's looking really flat. You hear me talk about contrast a lot. I like a lot of contrast. Now I didn't hit the back side with the last color, but I'll do it this side a little bit with the color a little bit. Again, with no real texture on the back here, it's really hard to kind of do this because it's hard to do without seeing the brush strokes. I'm going to do some. So I got a little something there. I'm going to try to see if I can get rid of that. Working. That works better than trying to use the bristles. Use the flat part of the brush. You know what I could do? I just thought about this. I could sponge some of this on there, give it some more texture. Do that. Maybe. That didn't work. Not so much. A little water and so we can get that off. Just got some water on this brush. I'm going to try to rub this off. Actually kind of a happy accident, because now I'm getting some different looks. See, let's go with that. This is how I do shit. I try to fix something, and it actually turns out to be a nice little happy accident. Kind of liking what's happening here. It's just, again, this is the bottom, but still we want it to look interesting. Put a little water in there and just kind of blend that in the next few steps. Okay. Alright, so that's that color. It's looking pretty good. Now I'm gonna clean my brush off actually. So this will be on my dry brushing brushes now, because once you kind of dry brush with the brush a couple times, it's pretty much delegated to that task. Now, since I wash this off, I want to make sure I get as much water out of there as possible. You don't want a wet brush, because then you're not dry brushing your painting. Okay, so now I'm going to just do some cold gray straight. And this time I'm going to get, no, I'm going to stick with the small brush. I thought maybe I'd get a bigger brush, but we're going to stick with this one. Again, just dry brushing, kind of hitting areas randomly. It's the same thing over and over again, just building up the highlights. And now we've shifted the tone of this piece a little cooler. It's not so warm. Still got some pretty good warm undertones, but we're going to keep going. So I'm going to get this base knocked out tonight. At least the stone part. I'm not staying up till, told myself I'm not staying up till midnight tonight. I can do the stone and the metal ring, I'll be real happy. And the stone we're getting pretty close actually. So I can still see all the way through back to that initial base coat of black in a lot of areas. So again, just thin layers, building it up. And so you can see it's kind of gone back to a little, it's got a lot of highlights, but it's kind of flat overall. So again, the last thing I'll do is I'll go back in and I'll hit the shadows one more time. And bring it back to, okay, so that's good. Now I'm going to go in there, I'm going to add a little white to that gray. Bring it up another level. So for this, I'm going to concentrate my dry brushing, just kind of going in the down direction, top down, at least on this part. So you can see there it's brighter at the top, and since I'm only going down, it keeps it from getting down in the crease there. Oops. Son of a bitch. That's a big glob of paint right there that I did not want. Let's see if we can get most of it off. Alright, so once I go back and fix that little mess up, see I mess up all the freaking time. Not the end of the world. do it right now. You can go in there and just kind of. Again, just work going in the down direction. Starting to look really good now. I think here I need to get a big brush. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, so now we're going to bring it up one more level to white. Well, it's not going to be pure white because my brush still has some paint in it, but be pretty close to white. Look at my. I can remember on the last one I did, if I did, the last step was shadowing, and yes, it was. I can see that I did the shading at the final shading at the very end. Just kind of hit the center or the stones. Try to do this a little more random. It's hard to do things random. I mean, it really is. It's hard to. Okay. Now I'm gonna come in here. I think I still got some paint in here from last time. So I just got transparent black in my brush. I'm pretty tight. I got my airbrush limited to only let. So I've got my HPC Plus, which I really like. I've got this cranked down pretty good, so the needle only comes back a little bit. So right now I'm pretty tight, and then I'm going to loosen up and just kind of. So right now I'm just wanting to really kind of hit the cracks pretty good, and just these crevices really good. Turn my air pressure down. It's about 15 or 12 right now. So the transparent black, anything that is kind of white, will kind of, that gets hit with this will turn a gray tone of some sort. This is Mr. Color GX Clear Black, in case you want to know. Dang it. Where did that come from? So I got a big glob of paint on the side here. Probably from my paper towel. Dang it. Right there. Ugh. See? I didn't notice until just now. So what I'm going to do, real quick, is I'm going to just hit that. I have to blend it in with something. It's kind of. Let's see what else I got. Sorry, that kind of sucks that happened right there. It's like right in the front. I'm just taking some of the sepia, dabbing it on there, knocking the white down. Just so it's not white. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, just kind of mix up a color over here with all these other colors I got on the palette. I'm going to kind of dry brush it again real quick, just to blend it in. See, not the end of the world. It's done. So, see, that took me a minute to fix that. It's frustrating because you're like, ah, shit. You got to stop and figure out how to fix it. Now these gears I'm getting in tighter. If you're going to follow the outline. So that's how I spent my Valentine's Day, painting. Thanks, Leo. So in the crack I get, when I feel tight on the crack, I get in tighter with airbrush, and it's kind of, the crack isn't as deep. I pull out. Start making the jokes right now. Okay, now I get those all pretty tight. I'm going to come in, I'm going to open up my airbrush, because I don't want anything like white. And I'm just going to loosely come in here and start kind of blending things together. Get a little overspray, it's okay. This is lacquer, so it's kind of stinky right now. Should be doing this in a spray booth, but I'm not. If I keep my amount of paint coming on the brush low, then it's not that big of a deal. So when I open up the airbrush and it starts to, because you get more paint going in the air than you do on your surface, so where you get the overspray. Like I said, I don't want anything white, so I'm just going to hit those, knock those down just a little bit. We're just about done with the stonework here, I think. My reference photo again. Okay. Yeah, this is a slightly different color than the first one, but it's still cool. What I think I need is to go back to some of my transparencies and add dang it, it happened again. I'm picking up, I'm picking up the paint off of these freaking paper towels. So I got a spot on the bottom of the base now, too. It's alright, I'll put one of those felt feet right there. You're killing me, Leo. I want to get this bottom painted the same way. I'm not digging into are the bright white spots up here. It's throwing me off. Just need to knock it down a little bit. There we go. I feel like I want to add another color. I'm looking at some of my other. Let's see what this does. Just the heck of it. Why not? The old adage is it's just paint. You can always do it again. Even though we've got like 30 freaking steps on this thing. So this is actually transparent bright flesh. Ah. Yes. Need a little like red or something in it. And this is, there we go. This isn't red. This is kind of a, I don't know. Just needed something else. I think this is it. Just a little bit. And this is like a little bit of kind of orange. This is transparent pale flesh. And it's not doing a lot, just adding a little tinge here and there. So what I need is to break this up. Yeah, I think we're there. Digging it. See that? Just kind of add a little bit of like a little bit of orange. Needed something. There's too many browns. Okay. I'm going to go back with a little more transparent black, and then I think I'm going to call this stonework done. Seal it, and then, what time is it? 9 o'clock. I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to be done by 10 tonight. My goal. Pull this needle out a little bit. Okay, how are we doing here? Got a little bit of this left. So I'm even going over that color that's put down, and I'm out. I'm going to go get a little bit more. Be right back. Leave the camera running. Another thing that'll help this is when I get the metal painted. So I just put a little paint in my cup. I mix it in my cup. I don't recommend doing that a lot with lacquers. I know a lot of guys that do that. I prefer to mix them up in a cup, a separate cup. Okay, there we go. So again, this is the GX Black. I'm going to just really pump up these shadows. And since it's a transparent, you'll still see everything going, see everything through it. Even if I hit over to highlight, which is what I'm doing a little bit. That's looking better now. I tend to do better when I just move fast and I'm just kind of real loose. I'm not very good at tight painting. I tend to paint better when I'm real loose. I don't know. Get better results. Maybe because I'm not thinking about it so much. I'm just doing it. Okay. Alright, I think this is done. I gotta seal it, which will help bring it all together, but I do really dig that. I think it looks really good. So it's a little shiny right now, which is hard to tell. Once that gets sealed, that's gonna have some nice tonality to it. That going back in with those transparent flesh tones really made the difference. Okay, I'm gonna hit this edge real hard. Alright. A lot of overspray because I don't have my spray booth. I don't recommend doing that. Alright. So there's the stonework. Pretty happy with that. Tomorrow night we'll do the metal and hopefully the emblem, and then the base will be done. So that's it for this part of the video. We'll continue with the same work in progress, finishing up the base hopefully next section. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so last night we finished up the stonework and then sealed it, and it looks really good. Sometimes I wonder why I send photos to people. Leo. I sent Leo photos like, hey, I finished the stonework last night, it looks really good. He's like, hey, do you think the middle should be red and the ring should be metal and on and on? I was like, dude, I finished the stonework. That's all that's been done. So every time I send a work in progress photo and this is not just Leo, it's other people too. They ask, hey, what about this? This is yes, we're getting there. Again, these are steps. You can only do, so much at once. So that's why I said the stonework is done. Nothing else, just the stonework. So. It's just frustrating sometimes because it's like that's all you're looking at right now, just the stonework. Don't look at anything else. But yeah, it looks good. So I've got two options now. I can go ahead and do the middle, or I could do the metal treatment on the top here. So for the top, I got a little filling I got to do right here where I put the magnet in. You can kind of see them shining through here, but you won't see that by the time I'm done. You put a little putty there, so I'm going to do that real quick and let that dry. While it's drying, I'm going to go ahead and paint the center of this. So what I'm going to use for putty is I'm going to scuff this up just a little bit so it'll stick. So it's going to go all the way down. I don't care because this is going to get painted, metallic. It's going to go down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my super glue and talc little mixture. Since that's a magnet, I'm going to go ahead and it just helps to kind of make sure that magnet doesn't come out. It won't. I mean, it's in there. It's not coming out. So do that. Get a little super glue. Little talcum powder. And I say talcum powder or baby powder. They're interchangeable. You can use either one because sometimes I say baby powder. Sometimes I say talc. Either one works. So let's get a little toothpick. I need a little piece of cardboard or something. A little piece of scrap something. Again, I am in full blown work mode, so my area is a complete disaster. My son's got 3 soccer games this week, and we signed him up for academy ball, so it makes working on the weekends really hard because it's like I need every waking hour on the weekends to work. So I may have to miss 1 or 2 of his games because I just got to keep going, or I'll never get this stuff done for people. Okay, so I'm just going to mix a little bit of this up. It just makes kind of a putty of sorts. And this was, while this dries, it won't take it very long to dry, a few minutes. Don't need a lot. Just need a little bit. Just like that, and it's a little higher than I need, so we'll sand it down here in a minute. Just had time to dry. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. This is, we don't want that divot there for sure. Okay, so I'll dry pretty quick here. My super glue here is getting a little old, so it's a little thicker than it should be. Okay, so for the middle, we're going to do, last time I masked it off and I'm going to hand paint it this time. I'm finding that hand painting is one way I can kind of speed up a few of these steps as I'm getting better and better at hand painting. So for that, I'm going to use, I wish I had a Vallejo red, but I don't. So I'm going to use, I've got really 2 choices for acrylic. I've got blood red and red from Ammo. I'm just going to use the blood red because it's a deeper tone. And we're going to paint the middle here, the fist in this sword. And this is still a thin paint. This is actually almost just about airbrush ready. I kind of wish they would make like a thickener for it for hand painting. Just going to come in here and we're going to need to raise my light. I got it really low. Can't get to it. Yeah, my floor is messy. I can't even roll my chair around. There's just so much stuff everywhere. So it'll be time to pick up. I'm going to come in here and paint this. So we're going to make one. May take a few coats. Because again, this is red is really crappy at hiding. Now it's really bright right now, but don't worry, we're gonna shade it and stuff, and it's gonna get toned down. We're gonna go ahead and paint in the cracks and everything. So I was supposed to get a kit today from Sean Kyle, really talented sculptor. He's sculpted a bunch of stuff I didn't know he'd do. He did, and I'm pretty sure that the kit got stolen off my front porch. So from now on, I'm going to make all deliveries require a signature. I've never had anything stolen off my porch before, and I've lived here for 7 years. And it's kind of weird that it just now happened, like not during the holidays or something, but and I'm not trying to brag, but my neighborhood is pretty affluent. I mean, we're not like, we have a very, very low crime rate. You don't hear about that kind of stuff in my neighborhood, but I guess it happens. And until I know differently, I'm pretty sure that's what happened, because if I get a package delivered, when my kids get home from school, they bring it inside. And I know the mailman, he knows me. He's always like, and the way my work schedule is sometimes I'm out in the field a lot. So sometimes I'm at home working. Sometimes, You know, it's kind of rare that I'm in at the office a lot, so. This is pretty bright right now, but we're gonna knock it down. I'll probably do it with pastels, because I don't want to go back in here and do a lot of airbrushing because I really like the look I have on the. Oops. I stuck my hand in the putty I just put down, so I'll probably have to fill it in again because I probably pulled it up. Because I'm stupid. I'll make sure I don't. You guys get to watch me mess up a lot. Jesus Christ. It's like once one thing happens, it's a freaking house of cards. Luckily this ammo paint is a true acrylic and wipes up with water. A lot of acrylics, like Tamiya, is not really an acrylic. It's a hybrid. It's you can actually thin it and spray it with Mr. Color thinner, the Mr. Color lacquer thinner, and Mr. Color lacquer. I guess it's a lacquer. Like you can't use acrylic thinner on Mr. Color lacquer paints, but it is also a type of a hybrid paint. But I didn't know that. But I didn't know that Tamiya paints can be thinned with Mr. Color lacquer thinner. So it's a hybrid. So it's not a true water-based paint. Which I did not know until last year. I found out. Okay. So we'll get this base finished up tonight, which will be sweet. And then, other than adding a little bit of gray hair, I just got to do the trinkets on this one, and then he's done. And then I'll move on to the next one and finish it up. Okay, so let's put a lot of paint on there. Pretty wet. So I'm going to blow dry this real quick. And I don't care if I get on the rings because it's going to go gold here in a second. And as this dries, it'll get darker too, so. Actually may dry down to where I want it. Okay, I'm going to do another quick coat. And I should have used a bigger brush. I'm going to use a bigger brush this time, just so it's a little quicker. And again, I don't have to cover up the stone 100%. I'll leave it some dimension, some shape. You know? And I really don't care if I get it all down the cracks because I'm going to line that. this with the hairdryer again. And we'll probably go seal it. I'm more close, so I'm just applying a lot of heat to really force dry this. Let's see. Kind of worried that's a little wet here down the crevices. I'm going to just take some of that excess up. So I'm going to line this anyway, so it's okay. Alright, so I'm going to redo my little glue here because I was stupid and I stuck my hand in it, so I'm going to do that again real quick. And I'll give that paint a few more minutes to dry. And then, so I'll do this little thing. And then I'll just let this sit for a few minutes while the glue dries and while that red sets up a little bit, and then I'll seal it. And then I'll come back. Okay. Alright, so I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I want to hit this with some sealer, and I went ahead and put a little Bondo on this because it wasn't smoothing out that way I wanted, so that's curing right now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to line this real quick. I'm just going to use some black acrylic. And we get a Q-tip ready. And I'm just going to go in here and basically just paint the lines, fill them in. This, and again, it's pretty contrasty right now, but we're gonna make it look more natural here at the very end. And the reason I'm not doing a wash or anything is because I have all that stonework and everything done around it. I don't want to disturb that. So I'm just gonna kind of do it the slow way, do everything the slow way. And if I get a little messy, I can just kind of do what I did before, and the other stuff I can just kind of wipe off the excess. And if it stains the red paint a little bit, I'm okay with that. We're gonna make it look dirty anyway in the end. I'm not lining the outside circle yet because that's going to get lined after I do the gold. And I'm going to give these hobby cubes hip. So these hobby Q-tips are great if you're doing this kind of method where you're kind of wiping off the top because they're hard, they're not fuzzy, and they won't get down into the crack that you're you're trying to line. It'll just only take the paint off the top surface that you don't want paint on. So if you don't know what a reverse wash is, that's what the term people use. Is basically you would fill this line in with whatever paint, and then you just go back and kind of wipe off the excess. I'll do it here in a second because I just kind of made a mess. Basically, just wet it just a little bit, and you're just kind of wiping it off, just like that. So it leaves all the paint down in the crease of the crevice, and just gets it off the top, just like that. Even though I just sealed this, I gotta be careful because I can rub the sealer off because I just sprayed it, even though I kind of dried it a little bit. So I got a little messy there. I'm just going to clean it up like that. Man, the more I use these Vallejos, the more I'm digging them. I never started using them until just recently. Man, but they hand brush beautifully. They stay wet just long enough for you to smooth it all out and do what you got to do, and then they dry relatively quick. Digging them. Once I'm done with this, I'll seal this again, and then we'll do the shading part of the red. I think I'm going to do that with pastels. I'm not sure. I don't know. I may have to touch up my red a little bit. I think I've rubbed a little bit off on accident. Not the end of the world. Okay. I should take care of the lining of that. That was relatively quick. Yeah, I went through a little bit. It's okay. I'll go through and touch it up real quick. I kind of actually like the fact that the black paint has stained a little bit of it because we're going to kind of do that anyway here in a little bit. Make sure this all looks good. Just making sure that this is all filled in and looks good. It's consistent. Let's see a few spots that I missed. Okay. That's pretty good. I say that and I see something. That's why shit takes me so long. It's like, oh, that looks good. And then I find like the littlest fucking thing and I have to go fix it. Ugh, it's a curse. Okay, we're going to go ahead and touch up this rail a little bit in just a few spots where I kind of went through a little bit. I still have some over here. Kind of right there, I went through a little bit. And where else? Kind of over here. This doesn't have to be all the same tone anyway. I just don't want to see this. I don't want to see the stone color through it. I picked up a little black on there on accident. It's all right. We'll work with it. Okay, so I'm going to dry that. And we'll seal it, and then we'll do the last little bit, which will be some shading. Alright, bottom's been sanded, that's been sealed again. And now we're going to go in with, sorry, my phone fell. With this, the Tamiya weathering powders I used last time on the knife. So this is like, they have A, B, C, and A, like set A, set B, C, set C. Like this is, snow, soot, and rust. One is orange rust, gunmetal, and silver. And then we got soot, rust, and snow. Oh, I got two of the same ones. So I'm going to come in here with some of this soot, which is basically kind of like a black. And you have to use this over like a matte or a luster finish. This won't work on gloss. It works better on a matte surface because you need the matte of the finish to actually get the pigment to stick. And it comes with this little matte makeup applicator, and they're okay, but they wear out pretty quick. So we're going to try it with this. If not, we're going to just get a brush. Let's see. I can use this brush I was using yesterday. So I'll get some on my brush here. And basically, you're just going to go in there and you kind of rub it on. Just another way of kind of adding shadows and stuff without an airbrush. Just go along the lines and the edges. I'm rubbing pretty hard. I do have pigments over here, but those are powdery, and those are good, but they kind of get everywhere, so I get a little more control with these guys. Basically just hitting right along the lines here. So it's making that dark a little redder because it's too bright. Just to kind of tone it down. Hit the outside circle. And then I'll do a very light kind of overall treatment with this. But right now I'm just kind of doing the shadows. And then when I do the overall, it'll just accentuate those even more. It'll build up on the shadows a little bit. And let me get a dry brush. Here's a dry brush. Kind of getting excess off. You can see how that kind of toned down. Tone down the red, add some shape and dimension to it. That looks pretty good. Happy with that. And I'm just going to do this just real lightly, just kind of overall, just to tone it down. And I'll seal that and call that done. So I'll seal that, and then we'll come back for the next step. Alright, so I sealed that, and also once you use a brush for pastels or pigments, that's pretty much what that brush is good for now. So I'll put that in my pastel brush case because, yeah, it tears them. It's like kind of doing the stippling with the watercolors. It tears them up, and then they're no good for anything else. So now we're going to paint the outside circle, and we're going to stick to one of my favorites, Old Gold. And I'll be a little more careful on this because I don't want to really mess anything up. So I'm going to go a little slower on this process. Just make sure I don't screw it up. Good old gold. I love this color. Man, I really just love it. And it covers, if it's mixed up properly, it covers in one coat, just like perfectly. Like I said in the past, you do have to, every once in a while, stop and shake the bottle up. You'll know pretty quick because it'll stop covering in one coat, and you know, it'll just look thin. So like right here, the rings kind of break. So just skip that little spot and paint the top so it looks like it's been cracked. When I do the other bases, I'm not going to do all these work in progresses because they're just going to be not going to be the same, but they'll be an iteration of this. You guys will get the idea of the process. Again, not much to say here, just hand painting, so. Shake it up a little bit, it's starting to get thin. Slowly but surely. brush there. I don't want it running everywhere. Just about got this done. Oops. Get it outside there. This does not come off as easy. Okay. Looks pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to hit this with a hairdryer for quite a while and try to get this to dry up. And we'll come back after that. Okay, so I went back and looked at my reference of the first base, and I just went ahead, just like I did last time, I just went and painted the rings all the way around. Had a little touch-ups on the red, fixed that, so the center emblem is done. Last step is to get this last part with this metal look. And last time I just started putting metallics on here and polishing. I think I need to put a little primer right here and kind of smooth that out. So I'm going to do that and then I'll come back. Okay, so I just hand brushed some Styrene black on there, and it's okay, it's not the same color. And then I hit with a hairdryer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start doing this metal ring. And again, we're going to use the Vallejo metal colors for this. And this is kind of a similar process as the knife bone handle, but just with metallic. So we're basically going to be putting on some colors and like kind of buffing it out. So we're going to start with dark and work our way up. And I think I'm going to start with gunmetal, this dark. And I'll blend in this right here. I'm just going to do the top. So let me get all these cups over here. I can probably use one of these cups over again. Some in there. Like that. And this first step is really just to get a base layer of paint on there. So I don't use too big of a brush because I want to have a little more control. Let me clean up a little bit here. Use one of those flat brushes over there. And change up my cleaning water. So I bought this big old pack of flat brushes at Hobby Lobby the other day. They were 30% off. I got 36 brushes for $10, and they're all this. So they're all flat brushes. So you know, they're obviously cheap, but it's okay. For what I do, cheap brushes are good. Like I've said in the past, I made the mistake of spending like $130 on Series 7 brushes just to ruin them all. So I don't do that anymore. It's a waste of money for me. Alright, so we're just going to go in here and we're going to start painting this on. Now I do have to be careful because I don't want this running over the sides of this. So I'm just going to gingerly come to the edge here. Brush strokes are okay. And if I remember correctly, on the first base I didn't seal this, which is ideal. Like I didn't seal that gold ring. I'm going to try not to. The rest of the bases have been sealed several times, so it's fine. It's good to go as far as it being durable. This first coat will probably take the longest to get on just because I'm trying to cover and, at least get a pretty consistent color across it. You notice I'm brushing this direction from the tip in. That just helps me prevent from accidentally brushing onto the stone work, which I don't want to do. So I'll get the first initial coat on. I'll hit it with a hair dryer, and I'll probably do another coat with a bigger brush just to minimize their brush strokes. I am getting some. I really don't mind them. By the time I'm done this, you shouldn't see any brush strokes anyway. That's what I'll be doing. The very first time I was trying to do this on the first base, I was trying to mask it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's going to take forever. So then I just said, I'm going to try hand brushing it. And again, it was just something I started to do, and the process that came up worked really, really well. Turned out really nice in the end. It's kind of got this stone look going on with this metals going on. It's just a cool look. So I'm not sure how long this video will be. I mean, everything on this base has been in real time, so who knows? I don't think except for a few little things where I just did them off camera, you've seen everything I've done for the most part. I'm just kind of concentrating on these gears, making sure I get a good coat on those. Okay. Now see my color's a little different over there because this, the base color's black. So we're gonna probably take a couple coats just to get that up to the same tone. As a general rule of thumb, when you do metallics, you want your base coat to be black. They just tend to sparkle a little bit more. So you always see guys usually base coating and gloss black before they do any metallic work. That's typically what I do too, but not all the time. Again, I'm brushing from the edge in so I don't accidentally get any of this on the stonework. I don't want that. Man, I love these. These paints are freaking amazing. It is crazy how well they, I've been brushing this on in every which direction, and basically there's like no brush strokes. It's crazy. I don't know how Vallejo did it, but these are like my favorite metallics. I wish they would broaden the color choices, because a lot of the colors are very, very, like all the aluminum, to me they all look exactly the same. I can't tell the difference. Maybe if you're doing a plane and you're all right next to each other, you can kind of tell the difference, but I can't tell. Here, I'm just got this first base coat on. And we'll hit with a hairdryer. I'm just gonna take a break and feed my dog. She's been whining at me since I got home. I had my package that got stolen off the porch. I'm so pissed. Luckily, Sean's gonna send me a new one. I just hate that it happened, because now it's, it's just, cost him a kit, which sucks. I don't want him to lose money, but I don't want to lose my $300 at the same time. It sucks. That's why when guys have me ship kits to them, especially finished kits, insurance sucks, especially if you're shipping international, because you guys get stuck with all the freaking taxes and shit. You don't get that here in the U.S. We're lucky that way. That may change. But, so when you pay the customs and duties, I get it. I mean, you declare something for $3,000, the taxes could be crazy high. I guess, but if you're willing to kind of gamble, that's your prerogative. Okay, getting there. Looking pretty good. Again, just where I have this stone res, it's just a slightly different tone. Try to get evened out a little bit here. right there. Ah. Yeah, I always do that. I should just leave the shit alone. I don't know why I haven't learned that yet. I'm going to cause more problems than if I just left that little. I mean, no one would have ever seen that little bit of paint there. But I did, and I wanted to try to fix it, and I caused more issues. There we go. Gone. Alright, so I'm going to hit this with a hairdryer and come back. Just hit it with the hairdryer just real quick. So now I'm going to start just kind of playing. Start with steel, actually, because I don't want to get too bright too quick. I got the same brush, clean it off, and this is kind of like a dry brushing technique, I guess. But we're gonna do what we did with the knife, and we're gonna take the paint. I got a paper towel over here, just a dirty one, doesn't matter. I'm gonna get a good portion of the paint off. I'm gonna come here and start kind of polishing. Rubbing this in here. I'm not sure if you can see that. The reflection may be too great in the light above. So down here, and this is steel on top of this. I'm just kind of rubbing it around. And this brush is going to get shot to shit. It'll be trashed by the time I'm done. You know, I want it to stay on this metal panel. I don't want to. Just rubbing it in there. How's practice? My son just came home from practice. Hey, will you feed Charlotte and Red for me, buddy? Thank you. I meant to do it. I just got busy working up here. I'm just kind of polishing it on here. And they fight over who gets to feed who. It's lovely. I got a little more paint on there. It's okay. Gonna kind of work it around. And this stuff's pretty tough. I'm scrubbing pretty hard, and it's not, going through. Hey, I'm doing a video, so I can't kind of deal with you guys right now. They're arguing who's going to feed which animal. I can't even do anything else. So that's looking pretty cool already. Okay, let's go to the next color. We're not going to clean the brush. Let's do some burnt iron. So let's practice. And we're just going to go back over again. Kind of working out to the edges a little bit. Don't want to go all the way. Okay, sorry. Had to yell at my kids. cool. Man, I just love this technique. Looks so cool. And we're going to do one more color after this. Okay, I think the last color we're going to do is we're going to do, what's this? Oh, maybe 2 colors. Where is it? Not silver, it's way too bright, not that. Some pale burnt metal. Pretty light, just lightly with this. This is a bright color. Again, we're not cleaning the brush, we're just going to keep on going. Now, this is a really bright color, so I don't want to do a lot. That's about it. So even after all that, we got everything kind of blending good. Looks really nice. And you can, the more you do this, the more you work at this, kind of shines up a little bit. Actually, I'm going to go back real quick. This is a little exhaust manifold. My kids are going to drive me crazy. And we're just going to work this area a little bit. There we go. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm seeing some brush marks. I'm just trying to get rid of those. There we go. I did it. Okay. And base is done. Looks good. So you got this cool, nice metal look going on here with the stone and that. Oh, the base is not done. One more thing. I'll come back. All right, last thing is the Hellboy metal plaque, which will go right here. Now it's already painted, but I think I'm going to change it. I'm going to spray. I show you what I'm going to do. I don't like the black. I'm going to spray it with. Sorry, my kids are being really tyrants, and my wife's going after them. I'm going to spray this with, it's a really simple process. I'm going to spray it with some of this gunmetal. So you spray the whole thing, and then you sand it, and then it reveals the gold. Let me see if this doesn't look like. Yeah, so I clear the coat. So 1 second. So I'm going to take this ultra fine sanding sponge which has been used. I'm going to scuff this up a little bit. Like this. And then what we're going to do is I'm also going to have to mark where this is going to go so I can take some of the paint off, because we really need bare resin for this to stick properly. But so what I'm going to do is I sand it down. I'm going to go spray some of this gunmetal on, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I sprayed this with that gunmetal black, and now I'm going to do kind of the same thing I just did on the other stuff. I'm going to do a quick little buffing to it to give it some just some dimension. Do the exhaust manifold, get the same brush I just had. Wherever it went. Where'd it go? Here it is. Crappy brush. Some paint on there. And again, it's the same process. Actually, I should have done, yeah. You're like, oh no, you covered up with the Hellboy. Don't worry, we're going to fix that. Actually, just kind of doing a little bit right now, but just giving this. Actually, I don't like that. I wish it was darker. Where is the steel? That's what I want. Steel, where are you? There you are. So kind of same thing. Way too much paint. Just want to kind of weather the background a little bit. I don't want just plain black. So we're kind of getting there. Actually, what I may do now is actually may use a little black, very small amount. Just put a little bit on my brush here and get most of that off. I want to darken it up just a little bit. I just don't want it black. It's not going exactly the way I thought it would. I'm going to keep working with this, see what we get. It's one of those things where I'm just going to keep playing with it until I get the effect I want. Alina, please turn off your tablet if you're doing anything like eating dinner or homework or anything. Okay. Go back to some steel. There's a look I have in my mind that I'm trying to get, and it's not getting there. I think I can get there. Eventually. Ah. I kind of had it at the very beginning. I probably should have just left it. Something I thought would take 2 minutes is now taking 10 or 15 minutes. Okay. Well, I may have been better off leaving it black, because now I'm looking at this and the technique I want to do may not work, because so there we go. It's got a little, it's not black, it's a little metallic, and it's got some kind of shading to it. But what you do, we'll see if this works. I need a toothpick. You get a flat sanding device, like a toothpick or a stick of some sort. Wrap some sandpaper around it. And you really need a flat surface. I don't use that because that's all done. Let's see. Nope, that's not going to work. Remove these. Come in here and slightly sand. And it sands the raised letters and stuff. Takes the paint off of that. It leaves the background. And then I'll hit this with the I'm not putting any pressure down, just kind of let the sandpaper do its thing. Because I can tell that this is how they did it the first time before they send you the kit. And the Y is sanded down pretty good from Narin doing it or whoever did it. Getting there. Okay. kind of like that better, that background. Now I'm going to go hit this. I'm going to go seal this with like a luster, so it's not going to be glossy, but it won't be flat. And then I'll glue it on. Okay, well, after all that work with the emblem, I decided just to go back to black. I wasn't liking it, so I went back to black and sprayed it with like a luster. So now we're going to glue this on, and the base will be done. So I'm going to mark it. Just kind of what I need to do is I'm just and it's going to be centered. So I'm just going to kind of guesstimate. I'm going to eyeball it. You know, right about there's where it's going to go. So I do need to take this down to resin. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically take my X-Acto knife and score it. Basically just going to give this some tooth. I'm going to make a little mark there. A little mark there. Just lightly kind of putting some marks down for the edges. So I kind of know where to remove paint. As much surface area as possible without getting any glue squeeze out or anything like that. Okay, so I think they'll do pretty good. This has got a little bit of a bend to it, so I'm going to flatten it out. You don't want any flex in the metal because it'll just cause the pop off. Okay, so now I did that. I'm going to go ahead and scratch the back of this up. Again, we're just adding something for the glue to grip onto. Actually, I can just take my metal file and do that. Okay. Now now I'm going to just get some thick CA. No. Good rule of thumb is don't ever put glue on the piece that you're attaching. Put it onto the surface that you're attaching to, because if I put it on this and I drop it, good chance I could get glue on something I don't want to get glue on. I also, I said my glue's kind of getting old. It's nice and it's kind of thick. That's okay here. And once I glue this on, I'm going to call this work in progress done. Because then the last thing to do on this guy will be the extra trinkets, and I bought a bunch of beads and stuff. And I may not do a work in progress on that. I just may show the finished product. We'll see. Come on. I wanted to come out. I think it's time for maybe a new bottle of glue. Okay, so I'm going to spread this out a little bit. Just kind of keep it where I got all the score marks. Try to get some of the excess because I don't want this oozing out. Get a little too much up here. Okay, let's try that. And I'm going to spray the back side of this with Zip Kicker. That. And then basically get like one shot at this. Looks pretty straight to me. And there it is. The base is done. Looks pretty good. I'm real happy with that. So that's it for this work in progress. I'll upload this video, and then we'll see if I do any more. But I probably won't do any more work in progress on the other ones either, because it's going to be the same process over and over again. So probably in the next video, unless I do something that, you know, is kind of different. I've showed you all the techniques. These are some of the beads I bought right here. These are all metal, different colors and stuff. So we're going to do some rosary beads, maybe a necklace or something, a bracelet. So we've got a bunch of stuff here to make stuff with. So that's going to be, actually, I think I'm going to call it a night, because it's actually before 11 o'clock. It'll be an early night for me. I like it. I got the base done. It's a good place to stop. So I'll upload this video, and this will be in a work in progress number 11, I think it is, or 12. I think it's 11. So, yeah, the base was actually relatively easy. You know, it was a, compared to everything else, it was a quick process. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that and you learned something, or, you know, if you have any questions, let me know. But thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. Bye.